welcome here today, and we've got a testimonial interview today, and I'm want to welcome here Chris from we've got Winchesters. We're going to be talking about SME Professional, Chris, aren't we here today? First of all, thank you for taking the time out to talk to us about it. It is much appreciated.
Well, thanks very much for having me. Good
stuff. Good selection of caps behind you. We won't go into that. We spent a bit of time off with that. Chris, SME Professional, for those people that don't know, is a CRM package, or to take it back a stage, is an estate agency and lettings agency software package. Really, I think especially specialises on the lettings and property management and account side of things. Would you mind just giving us a bit of a sort of, just a brief intro, I suppose? How long have you been using SME Professional yourself, and sort of what attracted you to them in the first place?
So, like many other letting agencies, when you first start out, you've got this idea. However you get into starting your letting agency, everyone always goes straight to Excel spreadsheets.
Yeah.
And do you know what? When you've got 10, 15, 20 properties, you can make a pretty good Excel spreadsheet. When you've got 40 properties, 50 properties, 60 properties, and another member of staff coming along,
starts to push the formula, doesn't it? And
it does. And I've seen I've seen some amazing kind of formatting of Excel spreadsheets far beyond my comprehension. And that people have managed to be managing 100, 120, 150 properties with. But all it takes is one new member of staff to forget to save something, or for that file to go corrupt, and you are just knackered. So I got to around about 45 to 50 properties and started looking about to see, as a small agency, how I could systemize things, make things just a lot more streamlined. And if there was anything out there on the market, and before then I hadn't really looked at it. I was happy with my spreadsheet. I was happy with graph paper printed off the computer for doing my finances, and I had folders and folders that were getting thicker and thicker of every single financial transaction that I'd ever done, just in case I needed to look back and check something. So I came across a couple, to be honest, and I've always been I'm one of these annoying people who likes to know how things work before, and when someone's showing you something, you're like, right, that does that, yes, but how does that do that? Why is it going back?
You're a magician's worst nightmare, are you?
Honestly, magician's worst nightmare. I've seen the same magician show twice, but sat in two different angles to try to work out what's going on. That was a holiday last year. My children were like, we've seen this. I was like, yeah, but I want to see it again because I don't know how it is. That was pretty good. So I spoke to a few of them, and I got a hold of Fraser from SME, and this was, I would say 2013, maybe 2012, 2013.
Good 10 years you've been using them.
A good 10 years ago, yeah. And we went as a small agency. The guys there spent the time with me, and I said, look, I'm needing this, and this, and they, oh yeah, we do that. And I was like, oh, but how do you do that? And they took the time, and they answered my questions, and we went through, and their pricing structure was very fair. It was basically unit pricing.
Yeah.
So I could very easily just look at my incomings and outgoings of every single property and say, well, actually, it's going to cost me X amount per property per month. It's all very reasonable. And the amount of time this is going to save me. Someone rings up and says, oh, 3 months ago, there was a charge for this, and has that been paid? And you go, click, 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 yes. So yeah, we onboarded with SME, and you always have that little bit of hesitation when you're taking on a new piece of software, that it's almost letting go of what you know and trust. It's something that you're just new to, so you're feared you might press the wrong thing, you might do the wrong thing, information might go in the wrong way. But at the time, the onboarding process was very simple. I literally sent my headline spreadsheets to them, and the next morning, everything was inputted and ready to go. a very kind of simple way of doing things. I believe in the past 10 years they have changed how they do the onboarding, and I've been told it's even better now.
Yeah.
But it was really good at the time.
And it's a critical part of it, isn't it? Because it's all very well having an all singing, whatever the tech solution is, but often these things don't just work out of the box by definition. Sometimes there has to be a setup there of something so complicated of setting up, on the sales side. Not that it's even easy there, but when you're setting up property management with accounts as well and everything else there, you've got to get all that right. You've got to take the time, energy to invest to get that on board. Because as you said, moving from one very prescribed way of doing things in terms of spreadsheets to moving to a computerized package that ostensibly does a load more stuff just doesn't happen overnight, does it?
No. And the great thing about it was, because I was that little bit of control freak at the beginning, they said, oh, we can just do everything. And I said, well, actually, see this bit here, this financial bit. I said, can you just leave that to me? Let me fiddle around with that. Let me put the information in there. And they went, oh, yeah, no, that's absolutely fine. We'll set all the properties up for you. And then this is how you input the historic data into here that you want. And honestly, it was, I spent that time doing it because I just, you're just that little bit kind of cautious with anything to do with the main kind of gubbins of what your business is doing. To be honest, in hindsight now, I should have just sent the lot of them to them and gone, brilliant, right, great, sorted, done.
Well, it's true. You've got to break the umbilical, doesn't it? And that becomes
and it's 100%. But I tell you one thing: the day that everything went live on SME, there's a load of insights. You've got your dashboard, and you can go and see, like, it just gave you this overview of your portfolio that you didn't have before. And you were finding little trends and little kind of things that were going on. And after the first year, you look back at it and you can see the average spend per month on maintenance across your portfolio. You can see how much you've sent the joiner, the electrician, just with a couple of clicks of a button. And for the amount of data that's created, stored in one central point. Every month now we go in and we run an export of all the data from SME, which allows us to create graphs and data analysis, and so you can get that Excel spreadsheet back out if you want it, and you can manipulate the data and work out and plot it against graphs and do all these things, which just if there's not a graph for it in SME, you're a couple of clicks away from having all the data. And all of a sudden you can work out what the average EPC is doing over time of properties let, and it's that whole point. I mean, we've grown from, there was just me in the business. We now have 10 employees.
Yeah, there
was 60 properties. There's now 850. And SME has been there from its infancy right the way through to arguably the maturity of the business, and it's always been the truth. So
and they often talk about that, don't they? CRM systems as being the source of truth, and I think that really highlights it there.
Yeah, definitely. And there are other bits of software that we use. What I would say is SME, you could adopt SME and have SME and run your whole entire business on SME. SME does everything, but there are sometimes other bits of software that maybe have that added bit of functionality. Whether but the great thing about that is, and going back to what you were saying about SME being the truth, you can take another bit of software to do quite detailed inventories, for arguments. Now, you can do a report on SME, which is great. And as if you're a small agency going through, this will probably be enough for you. When all of a sudden you have to process through 9 to 10 inspections a day on your portfolio to keep up with your kind of roster, that becomes a little bit harder with that kind of level. So the next bit of software comes in that allows you a tablet that you're going out there taking pictures, reports that are just sending off to landlords. But the great thing about SME is they've never been shy of, you know, another bit of software that's going to help the agent. But what they've always come back to is, you know, we are the truth. If someone calls your agency, you have the SME screen open and you can find the information out, even if that's been inputted on a different piece of software, because it always updates everything. So when I go to have a check to make sure that our staff are up to date on their inspections of the properties, the midterm inspections, I don't go into the piece of software that they use. I go into SME and I say, when was the last time this property was inspected? And you know, it's just got a little line there that said this property was inspected by such and such a piece of software and was uploaded last on this date and is also booked in within that software for this date. So you don't have to sit there and kind of go in and out, in and out, in and out. You've just got your main dashboard which tells you everything.
That's really important, isn't it? There's that techie phrase, single sign-on, which kind of gets lost. But what we're talking about here is about, in the same, you know, you need to have that single source of truth so that things don't get lost, so that there is consistency. And one of the things that's most, I mean, I think what you were talking about there is their willingness and their, you know, the appetite to actually integrate some best-in-class providers is as good as, in fact, if not better than I've seen. When I went through it with him and he was listing, well, we've got this integration here, we've got this integration there. I think we got to about over 120 before I had to say, look, just please, you've got to stop there. But that's really good, because let's be honest, one of the criticisms that often comes back is that you're always feeling like with some other packages that you're trying to pull teeth, trying to get them to integrate with these best-in-class ones. And if they do, it sounds like they're much lighter integrations. And this goes to show that integrations, like many things, are a spectrum. At one level, it will be a really, really simple, maybe just firing off an email. And at the other end, it's a proper two-way integration, where, as you say, it's writing back the key integration from whatever the third party is back into SME. So you've got that full transparency to manage, to ultimately what we're talking about, to manage the business more effectively.
Oh, definitely. I mean, at the end of the day, you know, you're running a letting agency. And when it comes to, you know, you might look up from your desk and realize that department's looking a bit stressed, they're needing some help, and you go, hang on, right, okay, there must be a better way of doing this. 9 times out of 10, it's a quick email off to SME saying, hey, what integrations have you got listing to this? Or which ones do you suggest that you actually already integrate? Which one's got the best integration? Which company that has come to you and said, right, we're going to throw a lot at this integration, get the APIs all sorted, and where do we go? That brings a list down to me, and then I go to the market and I go, right, okay, you know, actually, right, brilliant. I'm going to choose this one here, double check with SME the integration level, and then it's as simple. We added two bits of separate software to our system over the last 6 months. One was a key tracking software, and the other one was a maintenance reporting tool for Fixflow. So it's very, very, very well integrated. Now, we looked at Fixflow a long time, and eventually, you know, we were running up to, you know, 750 properties before we decided to bite the bullet. Before then, we had a simple maintenance reporting system through SME. Yeah. Now, that worked up until 750 properties, no problem. There was no problem at all. Therefore, you know, you're looking 10, 11 years of using that one system, growth that has handled with, up until the point here where you go, actually, no, we need to try and fend off some of this and put it into a different style of system. And SME basically said, look, you know, this one integrates by far the most. You can still use the same maintenance reporting screens within SME to find out exactly where everything is. I was like, brilliant. So I can just set up this system and still see everything here. And still do the same reports each month for the staff to say, you know, this is how you're doing. and
But what's
arguably,
wonderful there, though, because you got that SME is growing with you at all stages of the business, isn't it? So as you said, you get included that ability where you don't have to go and spend, let's face it, unnecessary money elsewhere until the point the scalability or the challenges within the big business dictates that you need something maybe more on an enterprise level. But at that stage, you know, SME Professional still supports you because it does the integration right.
Yeah, definitely. And there's certain sections of SME that we would never move away from, and that is the financials.
Yeah.
The financial section is just a dream. You press a couple.
By the way, you don't often hear this about many packages. That
yeah. It's honestly it's so simplistic in its nature, and it creates the forms that you then just download, plug into your commercial banking. It runs through every single time without fail and paid. So one of the best things we ever did with our financials was use a function within SME to pro rata every single rent to the first of the month. So instead of having 15, 20, 25, 100 rents coming in every day and having to run financials every single day of the week, and it taking half an hour to do each time, we pro rata everything to the first of the month. So on the second of the month, we pull the bank lines.
Yeah.
There's inevitably about 350,000 pounds worth of rental that's sitting there.
Yep.
And that just gets worked through. Now, to process, 500-600 properties worth of rent takes half an hour. To process 100 takes half an hour. So you look at it and go, the time savings are crazy.
And that's what we're talking about, because you've seen such marked growth in the business, haven't you? So what it sounds to me like, obviously you've grown, you've got, obviously the staff have grown with you. But let me just ask you a question. Do you believe that you would be able to have had that level of growth without needing more people, without SME Professional, or would you have had to literally have thrown manpower at it to get the same level of growth?
Well, you'd had to have thrown manpower at it.
Okay.
It would have without that software. So what did I used to say at the beginning? Effectively, with spreadsheets and no CRM, one person can manage about 40, 50 properties effectively. You can probably manage more, but you'll be running around like a
headless chicken, yeah.
And with SME, I would say effectively, it's a little bit more skewed now because the size the business has got to. We've got people who do full-time testing, that kind of thing. So that level is kind of outside of it. I would say that functioning members of staff touching the portfolio every single day in that kind of level, we've got about 6.
Okay.
So you're talking about 100 to 150 properties that can be effectively managed by the use of CRM systems. So it's nearly 3 times.
That's marked, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah,
and it's it changes as your business changes. You can't say it's X amount per. You have to work on an income basis and a cost basis and so on and so forth. But and that really does kind of run. I would say with the staffing that we've got now and the software that we've got in place, we're at a clear run up to 100 to 1,100. We won't need
that. Okay, that's fascinating. And what's been the most surprising thing you didn't expect, the benefit you got from using SME Professional? Was, when you went into this, you would have seen obviously some low-hanging fruit, to use that horrible phrase. You'd have had a great goal there. But what was it once you got into it, once you cut that umbilical, as we were talking about? What were some of the benefits you saw from it down the line?
So you've got 2 different benefits, really. You've got the operational benefits and the staff. If you go out to employ new members of staff and they already know SME, brilliant, great. Day one, they're in, they're running. It's great. It's brilliant. But likewise, it's very simple. It's very simple to use and it's very intuitive. So that kind of that's really good. The bit that excites me the most about a piece of CRM, you know,
Don't worry, I'm a train spotter on CRM as well, so you're talking to the right person.
So for me, we touched on it before, is the data. It amazes me how many letting agencies out there are sitting on the most immense amount of data about their local area, about their local market, and everything, and don't have it collated and don't have it ready to go. So for me, we do market updates every single month to a group of investors and landlords in the area. You know, that's really part of our sales thing.
Yeah.
And that always starts with me going on and downloading all the raw data that has been collated by SME, and I can just put it to the date, and I can say, right, this, and this. Even down to, I know that on Wednesdays, that is the highest, it's the busiest day ever in the week, where most people will book their viewings in. So what we do now is
this is gold dust, because actually, if a lot of people out there will be using, you know, national sources, some of them might pay for a source that take it down, but actually you're talking hyper local and hyper relevant as well, aren't you? So you're talking about two things here. Let's face it, everything is a local marketplace, but also to be able to tap into the expertise that you guys are living and breathing each day gives a level of a level of advantage over those people who aren't able to pull on that information. Because as you said, a lot of people will have this data, but it will be kept as data in a spreadsheet, and it's turning into actionable information that becomes the real gold dust, doesn't it?
But it allows us to do things like all of our properties. If we've got new properties coming on, they go on a Tuesday nighttime, because then they are front and center, getting boosted, most recently added on a Wednesday morning, when the most amount of traffic, and you're talking about, so we can, a couple of weeks ago, we had our busiest ever Wednesday, and we had 180 people book in to view properties that we had on the market in one day. Right. The Monday, 20.
So it's that much of a difference if you get that timing element wrong.
You can look at the graphs and you just see Wednesday, brilliant. Wednesday, the highest area, and then you can stand up in front of a room of people who you're giving this data out to and say, Wednesday. Why?
And what's great about that, though, that becomes self-fulfilling as well, does it? Because as you add more and more people into it, the data becomes more relevant, more comprehensive, and it just feeds on itself, doesn't it?
Yeah. So the access to data is by far the best thing. Now, that's data that we're pulling out the back and interpreting to use for marketing purposes. But you can go on and find out, oh, last month, you know, there was heavy rainstorms last month, or there was this and this, the weather was this, therefore, well, I think the spend on the roofers has been up, and you see that kind of come through and then ebb away. Just data down to someone rings up and says, I never got told about this. And you go, yes, you did. You got an email.
Yeah.
You got 2 emails, actually.
Yeah.
you were sent one 4 hours before.
Commentary.
Yeah. And that kind of belts and braces, everything's there. You know, you will always have that one tenancy whereby everything seems to have gone absolutely fine and everything's fine. At the end, there's a deduction from the deposit, and then all of a sudden, you or the landlord has been the worst person throughout all the tenancy. You've never responded to anything. You've never done this, and you can pull a report and say, here's every bit of correspondence that has gone to you.
Yeah, it gives you the confidence to know, because sometimes without that information, you'd always be saying, well, am I getting the full picture? Did we drop the ball? With this, you can feel much more confident, can't you, that actually this is somebody just trying on, to use the vernacular.
And actually, I've got, so talk about cutting the umbilical cord. I've got a feature within our SME that I ask them to put in place right at the beginning. Now, SME will send out an email from the email address that you are logged into. So yeah, I'm logged in as Chris, and my email address is Chris at, and it will send out that email as that. But then the email will come back into your main inbox. Yeah. I, being that bit of control freak at the beginning, I said I need a BCC on the first email. So I see that email that I've just sent drop into my inbox.
Yeah.
And that's actually still there. To
be honest, that's lovely.
I need to go. Cut that off now. I trust you.
That's really good, that. And what it's showing is it's pulling together all these, essential things like obviously email, but again, you're not then relying on going out into Outlook, Gmail, whatever else it is there. That source of truth that you highlighted right at the beginning is there. And obviously to get set up over time, you mentioned how good the onboarding was at the beginning, but how do these features keep evolving? How do you keep tweaking the system? What does the aftercare and customer service look like for you guys and SME Professional?
So it's very good. There's nearly every month there is an email that comes out, and it basically drops into everyone's email, and it's always titled SME new features. And honestly, there's a little race in the office to go, what have they done now? What can we do now? And then I'll get if that comes out after work hours, I'll get a screenshot of it, and it'll be my maintenance department going, oh look, new feature. I'm gonna have a look at this tomorrow morning. Brilliant, great. Or it's the finance guys going, yeah, look, we can do this now, and this has been tidied up, and this is actually, I never even thought about that, but that's a really good idea. And over the years, we've suggested things that have become part of SME,
and you feel more part of the business there, don't you?
You do. Oh, you totally do, and you feel that they're listening to you. If there are ever any, I wouldn't say glitches, but if there's ever anything that doesn't look quite right, or there's a bit of data missing here, data missing there, they've got this little orange bit on the side which says help, and you can click on it and go ask what you need. You'll get a rundown. You'll get a little video to help you through kind of that part of it. If not, you just submit a ticket.
That's like your bat sign, as it were, to go to. Yeah,
exactly. Okay. And submitting a ticket, you go through. This is what I'm trying to do. This is the property I'm looking at. Can you just log in, have a look? Have I done something silly? 9 times out of 10, it's user error.
Yeah,
but they're very good at going, hey, actually, this we think this is user error. Actually, here's the help thing for it. Okay. Have a read through. If there's any further problems, let us know. And
we used to call it picnic. Problem in chair, not in computer, I think was the. But that's, I'll probably let it a trade secret out there. So what was interesting as well there? So it seems to me, I was going to ask you, how do the staff find it? Because sometimes there can be a bit of a split. The owner of the business may have a completely almost different view to the end staff, but it sounds like they're fully invested in it. They get a lot out of it as well, do they? From their day-to-day involvement, which shows this really feels like a partner rather than just another supplier.
Definitely, and it becomes their third arm. It's there. We have big setups in the office. 2 or 3 monitors per computer. Yeah. One monitor is the SME monitor. Everyone's homepage is SME. First thing you see in the morning, and we had some internet problems and stuff like that in our office block, and all of a sudden you just get, oh, SME, right, and that's gone down. All right, Google's down, right, okay, all this kind of stuff. And everyone, if they can't get access to it, because our broadband's down or something like that, everyone just kind of goes, what do we do now? And you go, right, okay. But we set up the business where the business owners have always been integral to that business, and we are there day in, day out. And we see how it works. We use the dashboards to give us the overview. The staff use kind of the integral parts and kind of sub parts to go about their kind of daily work and make sure everything is logged and everything is noted and everything is informed. So yeah, it's really good. You get feedbacks, and sometimes you will get a feedback from your maintenance department saying it would be really good if, and you go, hang on a second, I think it already does that.
Yeah, yeah.
You go in and you go, actually, no, if you do this, this, and this is really good. You know, there's my business partner is a great believer of, you know, he's still trying to get him out of Word and out of Excel spreadsheet. He'll create an Excel spreadsheet for something, and he'd be like, I've done this, and I was like, yeah, but it's
already there.
Click. I've done that, and there's no faults in that because it's come from the truth. You've
Yeah.
spent 3 hours doing that. It's already done it here, you know.
And the other thing that does as well when you're using a system like SME Professional and moving away from spreadsheets is it encourages data accuracy, doesn't it? Because if that's the source of truth there, then, you know, if there is discrepancies in the reporting on the back end, usually you can see why that might have happened. And if there was an error in, you know, putting something into the system, you'll know how to improve on that and make sure that doesn't happen in future.
And it's that source of truth, actually, you know, by having that mentality of SME source of truth, we have some other bits of software that all come and get their truth from SME.
Yeah.
We've got, you know, so you've got SME, you've got software number 1, software number 2. Now, this software here gets its truth from SME. It then integrates into this piece of software here, which then reports back to SME. Now, the issue that we found out was this piece of software here was manipulating the truth. And then it was showing up incorrectly in here and creating different profiles. And then when it went back to here, back into SME, it was coming up with an error. So, you know, the error was visible at SME, but actually it was caused by this piece of software up here. So we had to go back to these guys here and say, you know, you're probably getting incorrect information.
Yeah.
You're creating this incorrect information. So we were able to see this coming through, and a simple ticket to SME saying, hey, SME, this software is messing with your truth.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then they reached out, and next thing you know, 24 hours later, everyone's back to the truth again.
That's really good. Yeah, that's really, really important. That sounds excellent. So just winding up, because I promised you we were going to only be 15 minutes, so I couldn't have. If ever there's something I could gas on, though, it's on CRM systems and that. So I do apologise, but it's been fascinating hearing your views and such honest feedback there. So your final thoughts on it? How would you rate your experience overall with them?
It's integral to the business.
That says it all, really, doesn't it? I think.
Yeah, and it's you know, we've dipped in and dipped out of other software and other hardware providers and so on and so forth throughout the year, but SME has always been stable.
They're the ones you always come back to.
Yeah, and you know, it's we've never left them because you just look at it and go, right, what do I need this to do? Does it do it? Yes. Is the support there? Yes.
And it should be the foundation to the business, shouldn't it? I mean, it's got to be from a tech perspective, at least.
Yeah, and it's. I think a lot of kudos needs to be given to them that, you know, they've dealt with me from not knowing what I was doing with 60 properties to being very decisive and exacting in what we want and what we want to get out of our software.
It sounds like you're the landlord whisperer with your investor things as well. So that's great. Well, it's lovely to see, though, isn't it? As well as much as, you know, their business has grown, your business has grown, and seeing that classic feedback of the two together is where these partnerships should work.
I mean, I've walked into other letting agencies, competitors within the local area, or co-petitors, because and I've walked in and they're sitting there in a mountain of paperwork and they're like, oh, we're trying this, and I was like, no, SME straight away. And they go, oh, what? And I go, no, move over, let me onto your computer, I'll log you in. Right, okay, this is my whole portfolio. If I want to do a rent run, done. Right, if I want to do this,
de facto salesperson as well for SME Professional, that is, yeah. So so there's a slight feeling of smugness there when you walk around these, whatever the opposite of a paperless office is, a paper-filled office is there. So just so we can give them the review they obviously so richly deserve, you'd rate them out of 5 stars, 5 being the highest, 0 being
5 stars. 5 stars without a doubt. It's you know,
I suspected you
I
were
owe a
going
lot
to say that. It would have felt really, really kind of counterlogical if you'd switched that at the end there, but we always have to ask the question. And of course, I'm guessing, although it just says you have tried to convert the competition to show them the light, as it were. But I'll say my standard line is, as long as you're not, obviously, it's not the competition, I guess you'd be recommending them to any other agents out there that are looking to sort this side of the business out.
I would definitely, and it's you need to have that kind of foundation that is solid and understands, you know, what you're trying to do. And that is SME for us.
Chris, can't thank you enough for that. It's really, really important. I love to hear these honest feedback here. You know, SME don't. What I love about them actually is they don't throw all their money at, you know, sort of advertising and doing full-blown marketing. They've done it via word of mouth. And dare I say, I was really keen to get those guys on because I think they are a story that needs to be told to other people. And these companies like that deserve to you know, to be known out there as much as possible. So to hear straight from the horse's mouth, as it were, really important. And thank you again for taking the time to do that.
Not a problem. Thanks for having me.